Street in Urbana. Tailored for houses of worship on Wednesday, March 26th. Program open to all in Champaign, Piatt, and Vermilion counties.
For more details, visit geothermaluc.org.
Jets Pizza is offering a special deal when you spend $25. Just use promo code 5ADD. That's the number 5ADD and specify Jets bread or cinnamon sticks for only $5. Combine that with their current $5 off pizza promos and you can cheer on the Illini while enjoying hot pizza with your favorite Jets bread or cinnamon sticks. What a deal. You spend $25, enter 5ADD for Jets bread or cinnamon sticks for just $5. Jets, better because it has to be.
It's halftime of the big sale. We have Dick Van Dyke, Appliance World coach Paul Rican here. Paul, what's the game plan?
It's just like I was telling my team. These prices are low, but they just aren't low enough.
Well, Paul, what do you do?
We have a top-of-the-line Electrolux laundry pair. I'm going with a free pedestal on the pair, free delivery and installation. And this hurts, but I'm going to throw in an additional $100 off.
No way.
That's over $600 off the whole pair.
Thanks, Paul.
Team, get to the locker room. We have to talk about what I just promised this radio guy.
And there you have it from Dick Van Dyke, Appliance World, where you always get up.
Wow.
Carpet Weaver's Flooring and Furniture Gallery has savings store-wide for the anniversary sale. Installation is half off Mohawk's waterproof luxury vinyl floors. The installation is free for Mohawk Carpet. And get up to $1,000 instant rebate on Mohawk carpets and floors. Instant rebates on all furniture. Plus, buy it all 2 years free financing. Don't miss the anniversary sale going on now at Carpet Weavers.
In 1925, a small plumbing company began its journey in Urbana, Illinois. Over the decades, the business grew thanks to hard work and great people. In 1966, things changed when Dave Reichard, a veteran, met veteran Ken Asklin, who was an architectural engineering grad from Illinois. The two realized their shared vision for excellence. Their partnership took root, and in 1975, the name changed to A&R Mechanical. With Dave as president and Ken as vice president, A&R Mechanical expanded services, becoming the go-to full-service contractor for all of Central Illinois. A&R went from a plumbing-only contractor to a full-service mechanical contractor with their own sheet metal shop. Today, A&R is a plumbing, heating, ventilation service company with the same excellence in customer service as they provided nearly 100 years ago. Design, build, and maintain. That's what served A&R Mechanical for nearly 100 years. Find them at Lincoln and Kettering in Urbana or online at ar-mech.com.
Weekend. You may have had a terrific
Champagne
weekend.
life
There was
with
no worst
Champagne
about
Center
it, or you need the
partnership.
best
Don't
in your
let summer
weekend.
pass you
Whatever
by.
happens, we're going to give you the best and worst of our weekends involving a sports tip on it. 3 Up, 3 Down comes your way with
Land use federal land for affordable housing.
In an op-ed for the Wall Street Journal, Department of Housing and Urban Development Secretary Scott Turner and Secretary of the Interior Doug Burgum revealed the launch of the Joint Task Force on Federal Land for Housing. The goal to transfer or lease underused federal properties to states to address housing needs, all while they say they will ensure affordability remains the core of the mission.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin. The officials also write that overlooked rural and tribal communities will be a focus, adding they also want to build hope. 2 astronauts who've been away for months longer than expected due to problems with their spacecraft should be heading home early tomorrow.
Astronauts Sonny Williams and Butch Wilmore have been aboard the International Space Station since last summer. Their original 8-day test flight of Boeing's Starliner turned into a 9-month-long stay after the spacecraft had enough tech issues that NASA couldn't assure their safety on a return trip. But today they board a SpaceX Dragon capsule for a flight home. That capsule will undock from the station after midnight Eastern and is expected to make a splashdown in either the Atlantic Ocean or in the Gulf of America off Florida's coast by about 7:45 Tuesday night. In Miami, Evan Brown, Fox News.
Retail sales rising less than expected in February, up 0.2%.
The Commerce Department releasing the report, which also included downward revisions for January. Retail sales for that month dropped 1.2%. The small rebound is a sign that consumers are still concerned over economic uncertainty, including President Trump's tariff policies, government spending cuts, and a volatile stock market.
Fox's Laura Cantor. This as the Fed begins its latest assessment tomorrow. But again, Wall Street rallies extending Friday's gains. The Dow up nearly 1%. The S&P and the NASDAQ also finishing in the green. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Habitat for Humanity in Champaign County dates back to 1991, transforming lives by helping limited-income families secure decent and affordable shelter with low construction costs, 0% financing, and homeowner education. Habitat for Humanity's work is made possible through generous individuals, faith groups, businesses, organizations, and grants, plus additional funding.
Good morning, ESPN Radio 93.5 The Drive with Tay and Piper. And guess who's here? Tay and Piper. What's up, my man?
Oh, what's going on? I'm back from my darkness retreat.
Yeah, you and Aaron Rodgers. Did he meet you there? I was going to ask you.
I was alone.
Okay.
For a few days, and my son's room was where I was locked in the dark. But I had the flu and still battling back, but I feel a lot better. If I cough, like we've gotten through shows with coughs before, right?
I'm the king of the cough.
I know,
now.
so I might trade you, and apologies for my voice, but it's nice to be out in the sunshine. It's nice to know what the bracket looks like, and I think Illinois, we'll talk all about it. We got a lot to catch up on.
Yes, we
do. The
Big
Ten tournament, which of course ended in very disappointing and shell-shocking fashion. But a 6 seed for Illinois is one to be pretty excited about, especially where they're going up there in Milwaukee.
I think back 2 weeks, and it is good to have you back, by the way. I know I'm still at the main controls here because I've got to do shows at the end of the week, and I'm slowly starting to figure the system out a little bit more, and then I'll forget all again. So I told you, I said, if you don't mind, just let me run the board again because then I won't forget.
You got it.
When you take off to head to Milwaukee. But it is funny, about 2 weeks ago, I text you and Kyle, and I'm like, all right, I got to figure it out. You're going to lose to Michigan anyway there, so just go ahead and lose to Purdue, lose in the first round of the tournament, just get a 10 or 11 seed, avoid the 8-9 and move on. Well, what Illinois did is they did an about-face, won at Michigan, beat Purdue, won the opener against Iowa in the Big Ten tournament, then, of course, a terrible loss to Maryland in terms of not terrible as in just a bad loss. It was just they got blown out. But what they did is they did enough to get a 6 seed. And I know a lot of Illinois fans were nervous. And reading your stuff today, it sounds like kind of the mood over at Illinois was a little nerve-wracking as well about maybe falling to that 7 seed. But in the end, it kind of washed out. Obviously, you'd love to have a 1 through 5 seed. Don't get me wrong. But a 6 seed isn't the worst thing. And then you look at the path of it, and you start to make sense of maybe winning a few games. Now, this team has so much inconsistency. I don't know that I have them getting past the first game, let alone winning 2 or 3 in a row, but we'll see what happens. So for you, when you were able to see Illinois as that 6, we'll kind of go in reverse here, talk about the now, and then maybe go back to the Big Ten tournament if you don't mind. But now that you look at this seed with 6 opposite either a Xavier or a Texas, and I'll have you get kind of techie or nitty-gritty mode, if you will, about those teams. Then you would face a Kentucky team that's kind of beat up.
Yep.
And then you could see a possibility of a rematch with a Tennessee team that surely didn't play their best when they came to Champaign. They were in foul trouble, but Illinois didn't play their best either. At least it's a team you knew you went toe-to-toe with and only lost by 2, so that's got to give you a little bit of confidence. So when you saw that path, what were your initial thoughts?
Really encouraged, selfishly excited to be going to Milwaukee. That it's not a terrible drive, and really it's awesome for the fan base. I mean, I think back to when Illinois was a 4 seed. They were in Pittsburgh. They were a 4-5. Houston, you had that matchup. Right. So they have been better seeded and went further away. So this is even like a situation where I meant to look at all of these, like the 3 versus the 6, but the idea that Kentucky is the 3, not that they're going to have a whole big-time problem getting up to Milwaukee. I'm sure that they'll be just fine, but that it's even closer for Illinois. That's one thing from a fan base standpoint that is a big positive. Number 2, I wrote about it going into Selection Sunday that if you are a 7, just in terms of the potential, and I look, we'll talk about the red flags. We'll talk about what we make of and how you balance how awful that Maryland game was versus how really encouraging the 4-game winning streak before. So
no doubt
was as well. But in terms of potential to get to a Sweet 16, which we've all discussed, we've done the whole funny deal or no deal, and we talked about how much of a big deal that really would be if you make it back-to-back years to a second weekend. If you're a 7 seed, I had pretty much no confidence. Not saying anything can happen, but you look how strong the 2s are.
Big time.
You've watched how St. John's plays. You watch how Tennessee's been playing. They go all the way to the SEC tournament title game and fall short to Florida, who looks phenomenal, by the way.
Bama looks really good.
Bama looks really good. Michigan State, who you wouldn't be seeing in all likelihood. If you were a 7, if you do win the 10, I wouldn't see any way, especially St. John's super physical and tough and just feels like a game you get punked in. Tennessee, a game you could get punked in. Bama, can you score with them? So just the 3 line is a lot naturally more beatable.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at it, though, also added context, Kentucky has injuries. Iowa State has injuries. Texas Tech has injuries. Those teams were on the 3 line. If Illinois gets to a 6 and no guarantees they'll win, like you said, the first game.
Right.
But just the potential, there's a doable path to get to a Sweet 16. Beyond that, I don't have high hopes of this being. We've talked about how high of a ceiling this team can have, and on any given game, if they replicate whatever they had going for them in Ann Arbor in a different game, that was a Michigan team that, yes, not playing great at the time, but then went and won the Big Ten tournament. If that shows up in any given night, you obviously have a chance, but. I think the potential to get to a Sweet 16 is very much open by the ability to move off the 8-9 to get to a 6 and what lies ahead now.
Well, and I love, you mentioned the location. The idea that Illinois fans will absolutely show up in droves in Milwaukee. We know that Illinois fans would show up wherever, but especially a short trip to Milwaukee. And then the idea that you would maybe go to not maybe. You would go to Indianapolis then for possible showdown with Tennessee in Indy, and while Tennessee, like you mentioned with Kentucky, they've got every right in the world to come on up and they'll bring a ton of fans, and it's a great school in terms of fan base support, so that would be a fun matchup should Illinois get past their first and second round game to face Tennessee and Indy. Be a lot of orange walking around Indianapolis, but it would be fun to watch. But I loved the location, number one. I love the idea that they're not an 11 a.m. start time, that they get a late start time on Friday night. So they get essentially an entire week off from the Friday night game against Maryland in the Big Ten tournament. Some would say they took that night off anyway. So they've had quite a few nights in a row here, and will have plenty of practice time, plenty of time to get ready. I thought it was interesting that Brad Underwood said yesterday, and we may hear a little bit from him as well. He's like, the only thing off today is the idea that I didn't get a folder, meaning he gets a folder with our next team saying, here's the scouting report. Well, now they got to wait to see who they play with, either Xavier or obviously Texas. So that is one thing that is a little bit different to this. But I think my buddy Tim Smith was watching it with Andrew and I last night, and he kind of summed it up best. He's like, what's crazy about this part of the bracket for Illinois is there's just no storylines. It's just a bracket. And I'm like, that's so easy with what you just said, but it makes so much sense. And I know that we each, whatever fan base you are, you're going to make into the bracket what you want. Last year, we saw UConn immediately. We saw other teams in that, the East, and you immediately were like, we're getting thrown in the toughest bracket again. You always feel like every year you're in that tough bracket. Well, I don't think the Midwest is by any means the toughest bracket in this thing. It may actually end up in the end being the one that causes the most havoc, because you do have teams, I think, that are beatable. But in that regard, you look at it like that, and you're like, okay, that's not horrible. The other thing I thought was you avoided Duke and you avoided Auburn. Now, I'm not saying Houston's going to be easy, and we saw how good Florida was as well.
I like avoiding Florida right now.
I agree.
They're probably the hottest team in the country.
So of the 4 seeds, I probably would rather face Houston. Obviously, they've got to face a Gonzaga team maybe in that second round. That could be an interesting game. But the point is, Derek, I had to search for things to think about. it's Kentucky against Antigua. And I'm like, yeah, that's not really that splashy. Oh, it's Illinois and Tennessee with a rematch. Yeah, that's not that splashy. I mean, I literally just looked at it and was like, hey, it's just a bracket.
Yeah.
I love it.
No, that's a great way to put it. I think if there is a segment of like, if you're trying to be a college basketball troll, like you're not an Illinois fan,
Right.
but you just want to troll on this thing, you'd be like, okay, between Rodney Terry, Sean Miller, and Brad Underwood, the winner of all that gets the Texas job. Now we know.
I never thought of that juiciness.
Jeff Goodman tweeted it out that, hey, it's really interesting that Sean Miller is playing Texas when Sean Miller might end up being the number one choice for the job in Austin.
Wow.
And if he wins that, and then how that worked. Of course, we've had discussions in the past. I'm not sitting here saying that Brad Underwood would just jet for Austin if this were to happen. I'm saying that would be something that maybe on the outside you go, oh, isn't that interesting? A job that has been linked to certain people, and here's Rodney trying to maybe hold on to for dear life, even though it doesn't look like it's going to happen. I mean, went to an Elite Eight with Chris Beard's team a couple years ago, but pretty disappointing return since then.
It should be fun. And it should be fun to look at that. And you and I will go through a lot of the bracket and kind of look and see what side of it, what region we think is one that should be some interesting upsets or some which is the toughest bracket, et cetera. I do want to take a break, though, Pipes, here in a minute, and then get your thoughts on what does lie ahead immediately. And immediately would be either Xavier or Texas. So for the first time, I think the first time ever, Illinois will play a team that has already played a game in the NCAA tournament. Was there much noise yesterday? Were you able to get to Illinois last night?
I wasn't there last night.
Okay, so you weren't there last night. I wonder if there was noise.
No, I didn't want to go over there coughing and
No, I don't
hey,
blame you.
Hey, guys. Hey, buddy. It took us 2 months to get rid of this stuff. Although I was going to joke that, there is kind of the stereotype that if you spend too much time at the Big Ten tournament, say you win the whole thing, that then you're going to, not have any energy left for the NCAA. So I got out ahead of it. I went over to Ubben. I'm like, give me one of your finest flues, and I'll just sit this thing out. I'll be ready for the big dance, and that's what happened. So,
well, before we get ahead of ourselves, what are your thoughts on playing against a team that has already played? Obviously, whoever wins Texas Xavier will be 1-0 in the tournament. They will have just played Tuesday. And then all of a sudden turn around and play Friday night.
Wednesday.
Or I'm sorry, Wednesday. That's my fault. And so, they'll have kind of that day off game. And then if they would beat Illinois, day off game. That would be 3 and 6 days. What were your thoughts on playing against a play-in team?
One thing that you like is that these teams barely made it into the field. So that's one thing, especially Texas needed to win a couple at the SEC tournament and one that their resume is not all that great. Xavier has been playing a lot better over really since the early to mid portion of January, where they've been 12-4 and only they won their last 7 regular season games, lost a thriller against Marquette at the Big East tournament. That was a 2-point game. It was like 89-87, something crazy, where they ultimately fell in that one. But Sean Miller got that team to play a lot better. They're a great 3-point shooting team. That's one thing that obviously sticks out. I looked into both of these sides, so I can give you more on both of them. But I think similar to like facing a team that's played before you at the Big Ten tournament, it can work one of two ways. Like if they go into, it's a dogfight, Xavier and Texas and Dayton on Wednesday, and maybe you, of course, if you're Illinois, you're like, hey, quadruple overtime, let's go.
Go ahead.
That they're just worn out by the time they get to Milwaukee. I think one thing I remember Indiana played in the play-in game a couple years ago and then had to turn around and go out west to play 48 hours later and just got smoked. So this is an easier trip, Dayton to Milwaukee from a logistics standpoint, but it could be a situation where the winner of this game is tired and they don't have as much time to really zero in on Illinois from a scouting report standpoint. They don't have as much time to like watch a bunch of film and run through their, here's all Illinois' plays, and even though I know people would say what plays, but so this is what Illinois does, and this is where this is the details of everything. So there might be a little bit, although it's kind of mutual there, right? Where Brad Underwood mentioned that he can't zero in on one opponent.
Right.
On the flip side, we've seen it again at the Big Ten tournament where a team that wins the day before might carry momentum, that might shake some rust, that might get some of the NCAA tournament nerves out of them, where Illinois will be experiencing that, especially for a team that has barely played any NCAA tournament games outside of Kylan Boswell. That could be something where, like, oh, Xavier, say they win, and they're already an old team, that they got a game under their belt, they got momentum, they're going to come in, and Illinois is about to see them and play largely their first NCAA experience as a group. So it can work both ways. We'll have to see how it goes, but we'll be very excited to watch that game on Wednesday. I think that is going to be a good battle.
Yeah, I thought that was what I was thinking about today. It's not that I don't enjoy the games that happen in Dayton, but I'll be honest with you. I know that I'm going to be so inundated with basketball starting Thursday through Sunday that I almost can't force myself to watch those games Tuesday and Wednesday. It's like, Lon, you literally cannot take that much time out of your week and watch basketball all the time. So I normally skip those, but it will be interesting to have an eye on one of those games now as an Illinois fan and know that, all right, we're facing the winner of this game, so we need to kind of look and – I mean, we don't. Fans don't make a difference as to how Illinois is going to play against either one of those. But as a fan, you feel like you kind of feel like you have a little bit of that on you. Like, well, I need to do my part. I need to watch this game to make sure that I've done my due diligence going in to that battle. There is a lot of times, Derek, where a team that plays in a play-in game has made a nice little run, at least to a Sweet 16. So you hope that that's not the case with these two teams.
Correct.
Is there one – I would assume – this is me guessing. I would assume Texas would be the team that has the more athletic guys. They've got the young man, I think, that could be even picked ahead of KJ in the NBA draft. I'll let you say names, so in that regard, you look at a Texas team that I assume has the ability talent-wise to play up and down the court with Illinois. Then you look at a Xavier team who you just mentioned is an older team that can shoot threes, and that worries you a little bit with teams getting hot in the tournament and then catching fire for even one or two games. We see Maryland that shot like 140% from the three-point line against Illinois and then somehow shot 30% in the next game. I'm like, oh, I thought they just never missed. So, you can see teams that can get on a roll in a game or in a couple of games. Is that kind of how you would break down? Obviously, you'll do it better than what I just did. But either a Xavier or a Texas. So I guess my question to you before you break them down is, who would you rather Illinois be playing Friday night?
I would rather play Texas.
Okay.
If I look at it, if you look at the analytics over the last month, I wrote this out on Inquirer today. So last month, Xavier's 5-1. They're 27th in offense, 21st in defense. You go to Texas, they're 3-5, 56th in offense, 131st in defense.
Oh.
So the metrics tell you just flat out, like it's not really that close. Now Texas, again, like you said, has a lot of talent. Trey Johnson is electric. The number 5 overall pick right now on ESPN's mock draft, had 39 points in an overtime loss at Arkansas, had 32 points in a win against Kentucky. He can just make shots from all over the court. And both teams have a decent amount of veteran experience. Caden Shedrick is a familiar name from Virginia that Illinois played a few years ago as a big man. Arthur Kaluma was at Creighton and then Kansas State. So, like you said, they do have athleticism. They do have overall talent. This was a preseason top 20 team, but then they fell out really early in the season and never got back in. I think, though, when you look at Xavier, and for me, Sean Miller is a big needle mover. I think that Terry against Sean Miller, I would much rather face a Rodney Terry team than a Sean Miller team. Sean's just very proven.
Yes,
He's made runs, especially with Xavier, not that he didn't a few times with Arizona as well. And they've just fared a lot better defensively. They're a decent rebounding team. They can bomb from three. And Zach Fremantle at 6'9" has played really well. Started February, he's averaging about 19 points a game. So that's something that stands out to me also. And so I want to dodge Sean. I want to dodge just
fair enough.
Kind of the overall, what the metrics tell you. And not that either one will be easy.
No, but Texas defensively, as you mentioned, the metrics there.
I'd take 150 whatever, even though that's where Illinois is over the last month.
Xavier always just seems like that team that's a hard out
For sure.
With whatever, if it's in the tournament, if it's in just a regular season game, it just seems like they're always just a hard out.
Chris Mack was there.
Yep. They've just had some really good teams at
Xavier, right?
That was there. That's right. That's exactly right. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. And they're kind of that pedigree of a team that it's like, we can beat them, but it's not going to be easy to get this done. Whereas you feel like with Texas, you could go on a little roll, maybe get up double-digit points and then roll from there. So,
and it's never easy. No. Michigan wins the Big Ten tournament. No, by the way, to see them get a 5 seed and Purdue get a 4, it was pretty surprising. They get the. I know very little about UC San Diego. Right. Not as much apparently as Seth Davis, who immediately was like, and UC
everybody,
San Diego on the way to the Sweet 16.
It's their first year, isn't it?
Guy,
yeah, I know.
Does Seth Davis, just a quick tangent here, does he get that much exposure to the is he in the moment making these just huge, broad? I know it's TV, right?
Yeah.
You gotta say something interesting, but I feel like
he's me. Like he hasn't done any research into any of it. He just has this gut feel that UC San Diego is the team to go with.
I guess.
And you're like, why? I don't know. It just feels right.
They show him like, SIUE in their first ever tournament. He's like, it's a great story, one that I just found out about today. Right. SIUE to the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, cool, Seth. Perfect.
Let's ride.
We're going to hold you to that? No,
Yeah, I would not be happy if I'm Michigan. With winning the Big Ten, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Did they win it?
They won the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, they won the Big. Sorry, I'm like losing it here. Wisconsin was up like 12 in that game, and then Michigan comes back and wins it. But it is interesting that then Purdue. You wonder if that's not a little bit of like past tournament success, whatever the word is. Like
bias.
Purdue's bias. Like they've been really good the last few years. They've been to a national championship. I think they're better than we think. We ought to put them at a 4. I don't know that I trust Michigan, who got kind of hot here. You wonder how much the Illinois win at Michigan kind of damaged their resume a little bit with the idea that Illinois went into Ann Arbor and just smacked them around. But I don't know. I haven't done a deep dive on quad 1 wins for Michigan versus Purdue and all of that.
Purdue's net and Ken Pom is higher.
Okay.
Although Michigan just beat them. And I know one of the arguments that people will say, which I never understand why we can't do this. They're like, everybody knows that Sunday doesn't matter at the Big Ten tournament because it's right up against the selection. And they've already done the back deals to make sure North Carolina gets in the tournament. They've already done that. I just never understand why you can't have 2 scenarios. Like, hey, Michigan wins this game, Wisconsin wins this game. Here's the bracket. But that's too hard for these people.
That is fair.
Anyways,
we are going to catch a break. When we come back, I want to know, in your mind, what Illinois did right to deserve a 6 seed. I think they did deserve that, but obviously they did some yeoman work this year against really good quad 1 games and teams. I think they went 8-8 overall versus teams that are in the NCAA tournament, including a win over SIUE way back. I think it's ironic that Ole Miss, the team you played in like an exhibition, is right there with you at a 6 seed, and how bad that looked then compared to what this Illinois team is now. So we'll kind of get nitty-gritty with that, but especially what Illinois did to deserve getting that solid 6 seed and a pretty good draw, to be honest with you, not only getting the 6, but getting location draw as well. So we'll do all that when we return. If you want to weigh in, 217-359-2255. A lot of you have done that already on the Max Twin City Recycling text line. Again, 217-359-2255. We are back. It is The Drive.
Well, tell me, Tim Onstad, how is it going at Gale Frericks Trucking?
Oh, we're busy. We're going gangbusters. We've got a new driver going through orientation. That leaves us one spot left for somebody that wants to get in on the action and make some money, be home, get some quality time. It's a great opportunity.
And the type of person you like hiring?
Honesty, integrity, like everybody else is looking for. That guy that wants to have a family life, but be able to make some good money and do the right things.
Are you looking for experienced drivers? And if they have a military background and things like that, that's always an asset.
We do need some experience. Of course, we like getting the guys 15 years in that know what they're doing, maybe have been treated bad by other companies and need a place looking for a home. If somebody has the basics, maybe a year and a half, has a military background, I'll count that as some experience because they're used to following the process. Oh, you can always email me at timo@gftlog.com.
I need to speak with someone in charge, a manager. Who's the manager?
Yes, ma'am. This is Paul Reekin from Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. How can we help out?
Picture this, Paul from Dick Van Dyke, if that's your real name.
I'm also not wearing khakis, but go ahead.
I get home from work and I need a cold drink with ice. And instead of feeling that cool, refreshing air, I get warm air and a whiff of rotten meat.
That's gross.
So here's what I need, Paul from Dick Van Dyke. I need a new refrigerator.
We have hundreds in stock.
Don't get fresh with me, mister.
Excuse me?
I need it delivered tomorrow.
We have next day delivery guaranteed Monday through Saturday.
I want it at this price.
We guarantee the best deal.
I want an extended protection plan.
I'll give you one for free.
Now, don't get smart with me, young man.
No joke. It's free, and I'm 49.
Well, wow.
That's what we say, but why did you ask for a manager?
How else would I get this deal?
You don't need the manager. We do this for everyone, every day at Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. And just like Dad says, wow.
When you buy from us, you get the whole store.
Hi, this is Pam Moore with Philo Exchange Bank. Whether you want to do your banking online or you prefer face-to-face interaction with our friendly staff, Philo Exchange Bank delivers banking that helps you reach your personal or business goals. To us, you're not just another face, you're a part of our family. Visit us at any one of our locations in Philo, St. Joseph, Allerton, or Broadlands, and we'll be here to help.
Philo Exchange Bank, hometown community banking since 1883. Member FDIC.
Mental health challenges can take a toll on a person dealing with someone with serious issues. It can be difficult trying to find strategies and help someone you care about. NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness, is holding a free family-to-family 8-session course that will help answer those questions. The class is held on Tuesday evenings from 6:30 to 9 and starts March 25th at OSF Healthcare in Urbana. This course not only is for family members, but significant others, caregivers, police officers, teachers, and anyone who cares for individuals that have mental health conditions. You'll learn about how to manage your stress better, gain information on current treatments and therapies, along with learning about local mental health resources. The NAMI Family to Family course not only provides information and strategies for taking care of that person you love, but also to find out you're not alone. You can register now at NAMIChampaign.org.
Hi, this is Ross Craig with Philo Exchange Bank. Do you need a loan? When it comes to personal or commercial lending, experience matters. Philo Exchange Bank is a different kind of bank with over 135 years of combined lending experience. Let us be your trusted partner. Unlike many other banks, our lending decisions are made quickly and efficiently within the walls of the bank.
Philo Exchange Bank, hometown community banking since 1883. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
And we welcome you back. It is The Drive, ESPN Radio 93.5. The Drive with Tay and Piper, Lonte, Derek Piper. We're actually here for at least 2 days, and then you're back on the road heading to Milwaukee. Kyle gone this week, so we're going to piece things together as we roll along this week of NCAA tournament time. What a fun time it is, obviously, for basketball fans, but how about on the gambling side of things, Derek? And always fun.
Very exciting,
to
yes.
chat that, and we're going to do that right now with Mike Palm. He is the VP of Operations for Circa, the D and Golden Gate Casinos, downtown Las Vegas. Mike, how are you, buddy?
Great to talk to you, Derek and Lon. It's an exciting time of the year. We just came off a great week. On Wednesday through Sunday, the place was sold out. Sportsbook was electric. Stadium Swim was electric, and we're going to do it all again starting on Thursday.
I know the answer to this, but we all get so excited when the brackets come out, and we just get excited about what we know we're going to watch over the next few days. What is it like for you guys knowing that you've got all of these games ahead here to try to figure things out and let us wager on them? That's got to be something that you guys kind of get a little bit more peaked as well.
Yeah, last week was actually a little more difficult. You're going to have 18 games on Thursday and 16 on Thursday and 16 on Friday, 8 on Saturday, 8 on Sunday. Wednesday, I think we had 72 games we booked.
Wow.
And Thursday was just a little less than that. So, I mean, it's challenging, yeah, but they have power ratings on all these teams. They're looking at all the latest injury news. When the brackets come out, it only takes a couple minutes to come up with a number. Do you factor in, where it's taking place? Is there any sort of maybe a slight home court advantage or a crowd advantage? And then the more difficult thing is kind of managing the future markets once you see the regions and saying whose paths look like they're more manageable and maybe we need to adjust based on that.
Mike, to follow up on that, is that something that obviously Sportsbook, you're taking action that comes your way, but how involved are people still betting futures at this point in time? I know we think a lot about game in and game out and what a certain line is, say for Illinois' first game coming up on Friday, but what is that like in terms of the options you guys have at Circa, and maybe something for a new sports bettor or even one that has been doing it that might want to get involved as far as saying, hey, I want to put a bet down for a Final Four bid or to win the whole thing?
Yeah, so the heaviest of action will be, since the brackets was announced yesterday, through when the games really tip on Thursday, will be to make the Final Four. Right? People have their futures bet. Some people might, delve a little bit in. I know Houston got some action in the championship market last night. I think people think maybe the Midwest region is more manageable for them. The West looks loaded, but maybe, we think about that because Florida got the overall number 4 seed, but really Florida is playing the best basketball of anybody right now. And they line up with Auburn, who loses 3 out of the last 4, so they wouldn't have to meet Duke or Houston until a championship game. So it's very interesting, but people still will bet into the championship market. More so that happens in January and February as people start to figure out who teams are. Now the Final Four market's what's really compelling now as people try to bet teams to get through their region.
Cooper Flagg, obviously you mentioned injury effect on certain lines or just as you start to think about should we move this or that, and also obviously the public trying to figure it out as well. But Cooper Flagg, one of the top names, if not the top name in college basketball, and he goes down in that ACC tournament. How big of an injury is that in terms of your side of things, but also you think just in the tournament going in as well?
Yeah, well, unless he can't go on in the second game on Sunday, I mean they're gonna play a 16 seed play-in game, not really relevant. If he can't go on Sunday against Baylor or Mississippi State, then that line has to be adjusted, and then the championship futures need to be adjusted. We haven't really adjusted them. We just let the money dictate on Duke. I mean, they were plus 315 before the injury. They're plus 325. So really nothing significant on the movement. The big movers were Florida from 7-1 2 weeks ago to plus 350. They're now the second choice. Auburn was the co-favorite. They're the third choice now at 4-1. And Houston came down also from 7-1 to plus 575 in the last 2 weeks. They were plus 620, I believe. So they got some money yesterday and this morning as well. Obviously, he's a big factor. Look, they played Carolina for the third time in the ACC tournament on a neutral floor there in Charlotte. I'm sure Duke was going to be a 13 or 14-point favorite. They ended up being 6. There was another injury as well, but he's significant. I mean, he's probably worth 3.5 to 4 points in the line of any individual game.
Mike Palm joining us on the Tapman's Towing phone line, Vice President of Operations for Circa. Speaking of which, Mike, how can listeners around here, sports bettors, get involved with Circa in the state of Illinois? A lot of options, obviously, in terms of sports betting, but I know that you guys, as you mentioned before, offer really competitive lines and a lot of options to get involved NCAA tournament time.
Yeah, you can just go and download the app. And what's nice about Illinois is we have remote registration or remote funding, so you don't have to go into a casino. Amen. You just follow the prompts. You're going to have to scan your ID and put some information in to create an account, and then you can fund and withdraw funds right off your phone as well through your banking. So it's really, really simple. We're doing a lot of events around the Chicago area. I know for March Madness on Thursday and Friday. We won't be in Champaign, but we will be at Cruisins in Peoria if any of your listeners might be in Peoria. We'll be there on Friday and Saturday for watch parties for the tournament.
That's awesome. I tell my buddies I was able to do it, download it. So if I can do it, then really, Mike, anybody can do this. I assume when I get on there, because I haven't done this yet with baseball, I assume you've got the Cardinals probably as the World Series favorite.
Yeah, they're. I don't want to break the news to you. I think we've got them picked fifth in the Central.
Oh no!
Yeah,
it's going to be
win totals just below the Pirates. Yeah.
Okay.
It could be a long summer.
Yeah. Thanks for the good news, Mike. We really appreciate it.
Didn't really surprise you though, did it?
No, it did not. Hey, maybe I can beat the book.
Let's focus on the positive. The Blues are going to make a little run here and make the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Let's go. Nice. Let's go. I'm all about that, Mike. I love it. He is from Iowa. No Hawkeyes. No Fran, Mike, anymore.
Yeah.
What do you...
You guys eliminated Brad Underwood, put Fran out of his misery. Illinois beating him was the last straw. It's time. It's time to move on. Do you know the last time that Iowa made the Sweet 16 was Dr. Tom's final season?
Think about serious?
That. Yes.
I guess
98, 99.
Oh.
1999. In this century, the Hawkeyes haven't made the Sweet 16.
I did not know that. I mean, I knew it'd been a while, but I did not know that Dr. Tom was there the last time. It is time, Mike. I think it is time. Well, listen, we always appreciate your support. We always appreciate talking about Circus Sports. It's going to be a fun time to spend a little cash, and it just makes every game even more fun. And that's I always tell people, do it if you can afford it, do it. And it's amazing how it will make a game that you know you're going to enjoy anyway just a little more fun, and it adds a little more tension to it. So, Mike, keep up the great work, my friend.
Thanks, guys. Good luck to the Illini.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Mike Baum, he is, again, VP of Operations for Circus Sports. And, again, download that. Get yourself ready for the NCAA tournament. There are plenty of games to wager on, and look ahead and see what you're going to get done. Of course, there is the bad news. You can't bet on Illinois, but that might be a good thing.
Especially this team. Right. Maybe last year's team, you're like, oh, bummer, I can't put my money on Terrence Shannon and Marcus Damask and to move on through. I don't think you want to be putting your money on this squad. So there's enough on the line anyway as far as that goes, too.
Yeah, that's one of those where you've got enough tension watching Illinois. You don't need to know that you may lose or win money over it as well.
And you can do I know people do the emotional hedge. Like you bet on the other side, and at least if Illinois loses, then you won money. You're never that happy.
No.
I've done it plenty of times with the Packers.
Beating the Bears.
I have made a good amount of money as far as that goes in that regard. Don't worry, I give it back.
That is a funny way of looking at it, though, in a good way.
You still don't feel great.
That is awesome. All right, so every year, I'm just going to throw you in a little secret.
Yep.
Every year, I'm one of those that immediately when the bracket comes out, I fill it out within the first 10 minutes, right? Just gut feel, rip through this thing.
I love it.
The other thing I do every year, and then I finally sit down and do the bracket that I think is actually going to work, is I take a bracket and I take Illinois as far as I can. Like I dream up ways for Illinois to get as far as they can. And what I do when I do that, Derek, it kind of gets it out of my system. Like if I see me taking them all the way to here, then when I actually fill out my regular bracket, I'm able to kind of back down a little bit and say, all right, yeah, that's probably not going to happen. So I did this, and you'll notice where I have them in the Final Four of the Midwest, of course. So I have them beating Xavier, beating Kentucky, beating Tennessee, and then knocking off Houston. So really it goes chalk to where they have to go 3-2-1 to get to the Final Four. Then I do have them losing to Bama. So I thought I'd bring that bracket in just to tell you that I do have Illinois in the Final Four. Tonight, though, I'm going to sit down and do my actual bracket.
I like that method.
What the heck?
It's interesting how there are different people who some fill out like 18 brackets.
Oh, yeah, I hate that.
Some will only have one bracket. Like I'll write it in blood before I finish a second bracket type of thing.
That's me.
Yeah, right?
That's me.
Others that always want to have an Illinois bracket, or that will just be their bracket, will always be Illinois. I just am always kind of fascinated on what the rules are for certain people on brackets. But I like that way of doing it. You kind of get the satisfaction of
seeing them in
being
the Final
optimistic. Yeah, seeing them in the Final Four, but not like having to ride with it.
Yeah, I got Auburn in my dream bracket. Auburn, Bama, Illinois, and Maryland. So a 1, 2, 4, and a 6.
What's your final?
I've got Bama beating Auburn in the final. Just because I want to see the problem with Bama, and this is why I'll redo all this, is they're similar to Illinois in the sense that if they have one of those nights where they're not shooting the ball very well, then they're probably not winning that game, especially in a tight game with like a Duke or even a BYU or a Wisconsin or someone like that. So
I've teetered on Bama, man.
I know.
When they're great, they are really, really awesome because of how much they can score, but their defense is just putrid.
And that's the thing about taking teams deep. You've got to make sure it's a team that is consistent at certain things. And I know, whereas, a guy like me who's kind of taught you how to go to Torvik and Ken Palm and stuff, I kind of showed you the way on that, obviously, right?
Yep.
But when you look at and break down the offensive and defensive efficiency, and I know you've talked about that on our show before, that, all right, this team ranks, 15th in offensive efficiency and they're 19th in defensive efficiency, meaning they're a really consistent team. They're going to battle you on the defensive end, and they're also going to be good offensively. Those are the teams you trust to be consistent and to win those tight games going along. I'm not saying Alabama's bad by any means. Don't get me wrong.
No.
But they are a team that, like you mentioned, can be defensively a little bit weak to the point where they can have that game against BYU or Duke, and Duke just runs all over them, in other words. And so those are the teams that you kind of really have to shy away from going too deep. But Bama's good enough that their talent alone can get them Sweet 16 or beyond.
They had a very similar profile last year.
Yeah?
They went to the Final Four.
That's right. Who were the teams in the Final Four? UConn, Bama.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny how you forget?
Yeah, no, it's amazing.
The only reason I remember that UConn won last year
Purdue.
is because they beat Illinois and they went two years in a row. Yes, Purdue.
Purdue and UConn played in the final.
That's right.
Bama, and then who was the other one?
Who would Illinois have played if they would have beaten UConn?
Oh, it was NC State.
Oh, that's right. And then their coach is gone.
Yeah.
Now, he's gone a year later. It's like, okay,
Thanks for the banner, buddy.
Thanks for that. 217 said he's working on my time machine. All right,
perfect.
I'm going to go ahead. This is every year. This is the time. This is the day every year. Not yesterday. Today is when I want Biff's book from Back to the Future.
Yep.
Was it Biff?
Biff, yeah.
Where he then knew every result. I just want to be that guy that, like, I swear I would win a lot of money if you had that book, right? So,
of course.
So money's not going to be an issue. The way you're going to have to do it, actually, is you're going to have to back down and lose once in a while, or they're going to be like, okay, something's up with this guy. But I would literally just fill out brackets and send them everywhere just so everybody just thought I was a stud. Like, I don't even have to win money. I'm just like, hey, check out this bracket. I'm going to get probably every one of them right. You'd be that guy that would do that. Of course, you'd want to do that once and win all that money.
I was going to say, just want to cash in on it once or twice.
Yeah, like do it back-to-back years, and then before they really get there, like you're not allowed. It's like a casino not allowing you to come in. Me, on the other hand, they welcome me in.
I could just see you, though, at like a bar table, and just the crowd is just gathered around while you fill out your bracket.
It's like, who'd he take?
I like what he did there. I would have never seen that.
St.
Peter's?
Good move on his part.
Oh, he's drunk this time.
NC State. Yeah, right. Dude, he's got NC State in the Final Four.
He's lost it.
There's no way it's going to happen. I love it. All right, let's take another break. I did not ask you because I'd forgotten we were going to have Mike Palm on, which was great. I'm glad we did. Again, Circa Sports. Download that app. If you are one that is not currently a wager bettor, like maybe you've avoided all that so far with some of the others, try your hand at Circa Sports, man. It's fun to do. And I promise, do it if you can afford it.
Yep.
I can afford to lose a little money, so that's why I do it. I also win once in a while. Rory got me. That's the third time this year I've won on the PGA.
Wow.
I'm hot when it comes to that.
That's
but
awesome.
I bet so late in this one I didn't win very much.
Win's a win.
But hey, a win is a win. I got one with was it Dietrich when he won, and then I can't remember another one. In fact, I am almost like perfect at golf so far. Colin Morikawa, am I saying that right?
Morikawa, yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, did you see what happened? He had a one-shot lead. They were playing 17, and the guy that was the shot behind was in the rough next to the green, chips in for eagle.
Jeez.
Goes up a stroke, wins. And so I had Morikawa winning it, and I was like, no! So other than that, I've been pretty hot with, but I have not gotten one NASCAR right.
That's
so far, yeah.
I'd take the PGA streak.
Let's go.
And you know what? I'm such a bad influencer saying this. The Cubs play tomorrow.
I know. Opening day.
Opening day's coming up. And
it's 5 a.m. our time.
You know what? Should I wake up and watch a no-run first inning at 5 a.m.?
Oh, we got to do it. Oh, my gosh, Pipes. I'm glad you said that. Yes, we've got to do this. Let's do it.
Okay.
All right, let's take a quick break. When I come back, I will ask Derek the question that I posed earlier. What did Illinois do right to make sure that they were able to finagle that 6 seed and stay on that 6 line? We'll do that next. It is The Drive.
It's time to plan your summer swimming season. Urbana Park District is selling pool memberships to Crystal Lake Park Family Aquatic Center. Memberships are on sale through April. The pool opens Memorial Day weekend. Single, family, senior, and veteran rates available. Purchase memberships in person at Phillips Recreation Center, 505 West Stoughton, or at Urbana Indoor Aquatic Center. Call 217-367-1544 for details. Urbana Park District, you belong here.
Are you tired of shivering in the winter? Look no further than your local heroes at ABC Heating and Air Conditioning. Hi, this is Gina inviting you to give us a call at 217-352-5400 to book your appointment to make sure your furnaces run safely and efficiently this winter. We've been proudly locally owned and operated and have been serving our community for over 50 years. ABC, always be comfortable. Call me 217-352-5400 to book your appointment today or go to abcheatingandac.com.
Point. Hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
I just haven't been as regular lately, and it's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Ace, you're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more at metamucil.com.
Take charge of the years ahead with a smart, sound investment strategy and business succession plan. Busey Bank's business and wealth management experts help you envision your best future with powerful insights and proven strategies. Building business and growing wealth since 1868, Busey Bank, proud to be the official bank of the Fighting Illini. Member FDIC.
This is XYZ Insurance. How can I help?
I have a question about my home policy.
Okay, question about phone policy.
Home policy.
Okay, gnome policy.
HOME, home.
Technology is great, but sometimes it's better to talk with a real person. With Erie Insurance, you have a caring, independent agent who's with you from beginning to end.
We don't have any HOMEs on record.
Your Erie agent in Champaign is Thomas & Ellers Insurance. Go to erieinsurance.com for company licensure and product details.
From computer systems to brakes and tires too, at PDR, fixing cars is what they do. Remember, when you turn the key and the car won't run, call 367-9481 or use their dedicated text-only line at 383-0619. Additional information including repair quotes and online scheduling requests available from the website at pdrauto.com. Remember, they are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR.
At Pards in Urbana, the boots just keep on coming. They're known for their huge collection of men's cowboy boots, women's cowgirl boots, kids' boots, and even shoes. If you're searching for top footwear brands, look no further than Pards. They carry a wide variety, including Ariat, Dan Post, Smoky Mountain, Roper, Double H, and more. And if socks or accessories are what you need, they've got all your high-quality essentials. Since 1968, Pards has been serving their customers with high-quality merchandise. And if you haven't been to Pards in a while, a lot has changed. Go check them out just off University Avenue in Urbana.
It is The Drive, ESPN Radio 93.5. The Drive with Tay and Piper. I'm Lon Tay. He is Derek Piper. Getting ready for a trip to Milwaukee. That'll be fun for you guys to go up to Milwaukee. I know you've been there a few times. I was there when we went for a Cardinal Brewers game a couple of years ago, Andrew and I. And while you're always risking it in April, wherever you are, it literally was about 22 degrees that day and snowed. Luckily, Milwaukee has they could shut the inside,
roof,
in other words, to where the game went on because it was the opener between the Brewers and Cardinals. Cardinals lost. But it was like, man, I really wanted to experience Milwaukee a little bit, but it was too cold to do anything. It sounds like it's a really fun town.
It is, no doubt.
City.
Yeah, they've got a really good collection of restaurants, bars.
Awesome.
I think it's Water Street. Is the kind of well-known area where you go down, spoiler alert, by the water. And but
really,
I think another thing, I really enjoy going to what used to be Miller Park. I think it's American Family Field now. And even the area around the Bucks Arena, which is where, of course, these games will be, it's called Deer District. That's another just really great collection of restaurants,
Sounds
eats
like
and
it
drinks
would be,
and whatnot. And look, I mean, it's Wisconsin. They do the beer right. They do the cheese, the brat, all that kind of stuff. So you'll have something that's good to eat and drink, and then they know have a good time. So
let's do it.
Should be a lot of fun for anybody making that trip.
Well, Illinois gets the trip to Milwaukee, which is really as good as you could have gotten.
No doubt.
And then the idea that if you could win 2 there, you'd go to Indianapolis, which, again, is as good as you could have gotten. What made that possible for Illinois to get this draw, that they're a 6 seed, number one, and get kind of the location? Did they earn that, or was this kind of a luck of the draw in your mind?
I think they earned it. Now, it does make you question some things because you follow bracketology and see what Brad Evans says and what Joe Lunardi says, and those guys work really hard at looking at the analytics and whatnot, but then it's a committee that doesn't always have to agree with everything or can look at pinpoint different things that they want to emphasize or reasons why they put one team ahead of the other. Like Louisville was widely thought to be maybe one of the top 6 seeds, and they pop on the screen early yesterday as an 8 seed. Like, oh, okay, well, there goes everything I kind of thought of what would happen. But I think when you look at 8 quad 1 wins, that sticks out. No doubt about it. You get a couple of quad 1A wins. You win at Oregon by that big of a margin. You win at Michigan by that big of a margin. And you didn't really have a sore thumb loss, like the USC loss. Now, look, I say that you had 4 losses by 20-plus points, which
is weird.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
I wrote in my article going into yesterday. I went down a deep dive. I spent way too much time researching. I should have just kind of, which you never want to do. You never want to be like, oh, I know this to be true, which you can't do.
Right.
But I'm like, Illinois is they're literally the first Big Ten team ever to win 2 games on the road against a ranked team by 20 in both. Ever
to
the
do it.
entire Big Ten history.
That is
There's
crazy.
never been a team that's gone on the road and won 2 ranked games by 20 plus or more in the same season.
That's
never.
unreal. That's unreal.
Within that, there has never been a team in the Big Ten that's won 2 ranked games, home, away, neutral, by 20 plus, and then also lost multiple games by 20 plus.
Unbelievable.
Illinois has decided to say, well, not only are we going to do that, we're going to win 2 of those, and we're going to lose 4 games by 20-plus points. So what I'm getting at, though, no quad 3 loss, no quad 4 loss. USC ended up being a quad 2. So ultimately, I think that and analytics, even if you don't like them, that's something that these metrics really bake into. So points per possession, when you beat somebody by a huge margin, especially maybe even a cupcake team that can help your offensive efficiency, that bodes well for you. And Illinois' metrics look good pretty much all year.
Shauna Green's squad, an 8 seed, so they got about where everybody kind of expected them to fall. I heard Joey Wagner discussing that last night with Jeremy Warner. So an 8 seed, they'll go to Austin, Texas to play Creighton. It seems like that's, a game. It should be a fun game, to be honest with you. Creighton's a good shooting three-point team, according to everyone that has watched them. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you I know everything about Creighton women's basketball, but should be a good matchup for Illinois. They've got a lot of time off, which this team needed, I think.
Yeah, no doubt.
And then, of course, they will then face number 1 Texas in Austin, so that won't be easy. All right, we got to catch a break here. Next hour, plenty more to talk about on the bracket. You and I will go through some of the bracket. We'll hear from Brad Underwood as well. It is The Drive.
This is WSJK Tuscola Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
We are tomorrow announcing and giving all of the Kennedy files. So people have been waiting for decades for this.
Referencing about 80,000 pages of records about the 1963 assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Tomorrow's planned release follows a Trump executive order in January to declassify records from the JFK assassination and the killings of Robert F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King Jr. The president's comments came at the Kennedy Center, where he now chairs a newly appointed board after purging previous members he accused of spending millions on unused facilities when repairs are needed. A House panel wants more information about the federal response to Chinese hacking incidents. Several lawmakers now asking the Homeland Security Secretary to turn over those records. The president has a planned call with Russia's leader as part of ongoing talks to end the war in Ukraine.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says a peace deal to end Russia's war in Ukraine is on the 10-yard line.
And we've never been closer to a peace deal than we are in this moment. And the president, as you know, is determined to get one done.
President Trump is set to speak with Russian President Vladimir Putin on Tuesday, days after a top U.S. diplomat, Steve Witkoff, met with the Russian leader in Moscow. Ukrainian leaders have said they will agree to a 30-day ceasefire. So far, Putin has not accepted that U.S. proposal.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. Severe storms that ripped across the South and Midwest over the weekend, now blamed for more than 40 deaths after spawning dozens of tornadoes.
Oftentimes, these tornadoes hit ground, bounce up. Maybe they hit ground and do a lot of destroying.
Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves says one tornado was on the ground there for more than 70 miles. America is listening to Fox News.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZzzQuil.
ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZzzQuil nights. Explore our products at ZzzQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Point! Hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
I just haven't been as regular lately, and it's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Ace, you're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more at Metamucil.com.
A recent report on the American diet is under scrutiny under new Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Secretary Kennedy says it's all about issuing health guidance that reflects public interest and not special interest. And with that, announced that HHS and the USDA are going line by line through recommendations released by the Dietary Guidelines Advisory Committee. That 2025 report was released under the prior administration and drew criticism because it didn't provide clear guidance on ultra-processed foods. Now, Kennedy feels ultra-processed foods containing preservatives preservatives and emulsifiers play a role in chronic disease.
Fox's Alexandria Hoff. Kennedy met with food industry executives last week. In addition to possible new dietary guidelines, he's also looking to change a program that in some cases lets companies self-affirm the safety of food additives. Federal health officials accuse education officials in Maine of violating Title IX by allowing athletes born male to compete in women's sports. The state has 10 days to respond before the issue is referred to the Justice Department. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is postponing appearances to promote his new book, citing unspecified security reasons.
Events in Baltimore and Washington, D.C. were scheduled to kick off promotion of Schumer's book, Anti-Semitism in America, A Warning. Threats of protests from Democrats upset with his vote to back a Republican plan to keep government operating are believed to have caused the sudden planning change. The backlash among Democratic lawmakers on Capitol Hill who opposed the spending bill has even sparked talk of Schumer's leadership and even his Senate seat being in jeopardy. The tour's schedule is said to be on hold indefinitely. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Wall Street rallies adding to Friday's gains, but finishing off of today's session highs. The Dow up 353 points, the S&P gaining 36, the NASDAQ up 54. And Lisa Brady, Fox News.
Hey, we're here. Good afternoon. It is The Drive, ESPN Radio 93.5. The Drive with Tay and Piper. Lonte kind of taking over the reins for Derek. This
is a throwback, man.
Yeah, we're doing throwback here.
It's kind of cool.
It is. and again, it's not me having even any kind of an egotistical fit right now. I just can't forget how to do this stuff, and I'm kind of on a nice roll with Kyle not here and then you being gone a couple of days, and I know you're going to be gone for the NCAA tournament. You guys leave Wednesday, right?
We do, yes. Wednesday, we'll have media up there on Thursday.
Yeah.
Of course, late night game on Friday.
That was always kind of, when I covered the NCAA tournament in television, I always loved that day before the game when they would have like a certain, like an hour to go out and they go out and shoot in the arena.
Yep.
And then they meet. They either met before they go shoot or after. I can't remember which, or maybe they alternate it. But it was always kind of fun to do that. And then we'd kind of, log our stories and send them back to the TV station. But it was always kind of a fun day because you just felt the nervousness, but also the excitement of being at the NCAA tournament and hoping what ahead is going to be something that you can remember for the rest of your life, which is going to be fun. So this Illinois team, Derek, when you look at the good, it is a team that you feel like, I'm just going to be honest, I feel like it's a team that could make it to play Houston in the Elite Eight. When you look at the bad, I feel like it's a team that Xavier could come out and beat by 8 or 10.
Yeah.
That is the maddening thing about this Illini team, and they showed it at the end of the season with a 4-game winning streak after that 3-game losing streak that ended with a thud against Duke. Then they win 4 straight. It was nice to kind of get the engines revved with Iowa. And then all of a sudden, then you get into the Big Ten tournament, and Maryland does what they do against you after you beat Iowa again. We just need to play Iowa the first round of the NCAA tournament and get going again. It's maddening to not lose games, but to just not even be in a game. To have, honestly, 2 of the worst losses I can remember for Illinois basketball have happened in the last 3 weeks. 43 to Duke, and you were down 36 to Maryland at one point.
Yeah.
They could have beaten you by 43 if they wanted.
Yep.
What do you make of that?
I would even throw in, and I know you didn't have Tommy that night, but a 21-point loss at home to Maryland the first time was one of the worst losses ever in State Farm Center history. So what to make of it, it's hard to say. I've tried to find the right way to land on it. For me is like, I think when you try to nail down this team, you're tricking yourself because they can't be. That's fair. They can't be said to be this is what they are, and like to put it in stone and cement. And this is what you usually want to be able to do in March, is that a team, they have their identity now, they figured it out. They're not every team is consistent all throughout a season, and Illinois is not the only one that got their brains beat
no doubt
in a game in a conference tournament. Like, it happened to a bunch of different people, but to that extent, to be that embarrassed, to have a reason to want some revenge on Maryland. Yeah. I know, not to the point of like, all right, they've been a thorn in Bradnerwood's side for his whole 8 years. I don't expect Tommy and KJ and Will to understand that, but they came into your building and embarrassed you, and now you get a chance at them, and you got some momentum going. Like, show some fight. I know that you could say it's a bad matchup. I didn't really see the bad matchup part play itself out. It wasn't that Queen and Reese were destroying you.
No.
You just had nothing. Like, you had no fight. You had no defense.
And honestly, they couldn't miss.
But a lot of their shots early were open, hand looks. Down type of things. And Illinois whipping her up. KJ's been really concerning,
I took some heat, Derek.
Boy.
In a game in which he finished with a double-double, I literally tweeted out I would bench his ass in the second half. And what I meant by that is send a message to KJ that we're done with the turnovers. We know how good you are. I didn't mean not play him anymore. I was just tired of the just inexcusable turnovers. What do you have, 14 in 2 games in Indianapolis? So I interrupted you there.
No, I think it's 12. 12 in 2 games, 6 against both Maryland and Iowa. And I don't have the stats in front of me, but over the last month, I mean, he's shooting in the 30s from the field, 20-something% from 3, more turnovers than assists over the last month. And that's not getting it done. And I know it's a freshman. I know it's an 18-year-old. And people are going to ask, and I've had conversations with we all have group texts and people that want to know and hypothesize and figured it out and whatnot. Like, has he hit a wall, like we've talked about?
Yeah, we have.
Because of all the basketball he's played over the last year. Is he more hurt than what's been led on, or is that having a lingering effect? I think some of it, I mean, beyond the physical, he is just getting himself in so much trouble with his decision-making. He's making so many unforced errors of just throwing the ball into harm's way and just taking bad shots. And I don't know if it's confidence or panic or a guy that's just has gotten uncomfortable and now it's just spiraled. Like, I think also we're learning some of the kind of the hang-ups or just kind of the holes in his game. His to Scott's point, I was just going this way. He has a loose handle and is slow. I mean, his handle isn't the tightest.
No, it's
and
not.
He can't get his pocket pick, especially when like the end of the first half against Maryland, where Maryland knows he's going to dribble into a step back. And they're like, no, actually, we're going to take this ball from you.
Yeah.
And KJ's going to foul on the way down, and then they get free throws. Like, this is just the perfect end of this half where Maryland's up 26.
That's where I sent the tweet, I believe. Yeah.
And not to some are like, Illini fans are being too negative about him or forgetting that he's a freshman. I think a lot of it is correlated or at least charged because of the top 5 pick thing.
There's no doubt.
And now he's not a top 5 pick, at least projected-wise, as top 10. People are still like, oh, seriously?
He's not going to be. I mean, that's all I keep hearing. I'm like, okay, well.
That's what they're saying.
The experts basically are saying that.
I have sat here enough games. I'm like, how many games until we finally just see an updated mock and he's at like 27?
Right.
You wonder.
I know Jeremy Warner last night brought it up with Mike Carpenter in the sense of why do we get on him so bad? Why is he, I think the way Jeremy said it was, of like stars that have played at Illinois, he's the one that takes the most vitriol. And I don't know if Jeremy had seen my tweet, and he was like, oh, boy, I'm calling Lon out. But I know a lot of it is because the expectations that he is going to be a high draft pick in the NBA. So we expect more. Like, well, then if you're that good, then don't turn the ball over 12 times in 2 days at a Big Ten tournament going against Iowa, who you turned it over 6 times. But
you can't guard a chair.
Right.
And you turned over 6 times.
And you know what's funny? Being around basketball as I have a little bit, obviously, like when high school postseason rolls around and even when the college postseason rolls around, especially NCAA tournament, I've always gotten the sense that guys get a little bit more of a handle. In other words, they're not playing as loose. And it's good and bad, right? They're really trying not to turn the ball over if they're a point guard, or they're wanting to make sure that this pass they're about to make is there for the take. You know, you're not going to throw it away, in other words. There is a little bit of me that kind of thinks that KJ doesn't really care about that. He's going to go play the way KJ plays. And here's where it gets weird on my take. I like that. I think he's one guy that's going to play Friday night loose. And I think Illinois could use that. I could see where maybe Kylan would be a little tight, or Will could be a little. I think KJ is just going to play KJ.
Yeah.
And if it means he's going to have 6 turnovers, but it also means that he has a double-double, then you live with it like you have all season. And that's the weirdest part. There are so many things that have happened this year to say, that's the reason this team is so inconsistent. And then the next game, it's like, oh, no, that's the reason. But like KJ having 6 turnovers against Maryland, but yet double-doubling, you just sit there and you go, all right, I've never shaken my head more in a season than I have this year with Illinois basketball. Good and bad.
I think you said it really well, and it was shown to us in the Purdue game how he responds to. No, I think he's shown times where he's pressed. I think he's shown times where it has seemed to affect him. But in terms of he's going to do what he does, that's kind of what happens, I think, when you're 2 for 9 against Purdue, and a lot of people in that position are like, actually, I probably shouldn't shoot this shot.
Right.
I don't want to shoot this shot, or it's not my night or whatever, and KJ steps up and makes it. To his credit, that was a huge shot, huge win, and that felt really good for Illinois in their home finale. But I think the double-double part of it shows that it's not like he's doing nothing.
Right.
He still brings value to this team. I do think his rebounding in particular is something he's put a lot of effort into. He's a guy that can still make some very positive plays off the dribble, but my thing with it, we've been pushed in this direction, not like in terms of it being wrong, but it was built up this way in terms of the way the season went the first 2+ months, is that KJ is your best player.
Mm-hmm.
He's played like a guy who doesn't look like a freshman, looks like a future NBA guy. And does Illinois have enough around him to get where they want to go? And once they get to the tournament, he'll be the biggest reason why Illinois gets to X.
I love it.
And now I have no confidence in that. It can't unless something drastically changes. If you're relying on KJ to be the biggest reason for you to get to the Sweet 16, you're not going to the Sweet 16, in my opinion. I haven't seen it. I'm not. That might be a step too far to say flat out no.
Right.
But I'd have more confidence in Will Riley being that. Maybe Kylan with his experience. Kylan has been up and down though. Still, I don't know. I just the ability to rely on KJ right now is very low, even though he's still a really good talent. I think another thing I would throw in on the Warner point, in terms of a star that's gotten this much. Illinois hasn't had an 18-year-old be their best player.
No.
In a long time, at least. So that's another thing where it's like, okay, Curbelo took a lot of heat, but Kofi was there. So Kofi was your best player. Curbelo took immense,
big time,
as high as it goes, probably heat, and deserved a lot of it.
But you saw how good he was, so then you wanted him to live up to that.
Right. And you had some stubbornness parallels there. Like Curbelo was going to play how Curbelo wanted to play, and KJ plays a certain way too. And maybe you're not learning from some of your mistakes.
Right.
Your showman type of stuff that you could maybe clean up. I would throw Matthew Meyer in there. Matthew Meyer took a lot of vitriol as a star player. So I don't know that it's by far and away number one. And it's not personal. It's because of the top 5 pick, the inconsistency, and some of just the things that he could clean up that seem controllable that he's not.
That's the perfect way to put it. It seems so easy for him to just not turn it over 6 times, because 3 of those 6 are literally just coming down and dribbling the ball to somebody. And it's like, whoa. You're not playing Baylor from 4 years ago or whatever, when Io couldn't get past the first wall or the first wave of Baylor defenders. You're playing Iowa, for Lord's sake, and you're giving up you're turning it over 6 times. It's like so many of those seem so just whatever the word is that it shouldn't happen. They're just, it's so doable not to turn the ball over that often. And I think another thing that, the other thing is that he started out the season so good that it almost told us, like, okay, well, we expect him to play at this All-American level. Because there was a point in time where you had to consider him for All-American teams. He was scoring 20 a night. He was getting you 8 assists. He was still rebounding. I mean, he's averaging 6 boards a game.
There was a conversation, and I'm not trying to, victory lap here or anything. I think I pushed back on it a little bit. Like, whoa. Like, they reached a point where, is he as good as, Io was as a junior?
I remember that.
The numbers told you that he was being a similar player.
That's crazy.
Now,
that's crazy.
I like it. It shows you why the consistency of a veteran and that presence down the stretch of a year too.
Yeah.
Whatever it is baked in, that can be multiple factors. He's just struggling, and that's a big factor why I think Illinois' ceiling isn't as high as it was, a month ago, 2 months ago, whatever it was when we kind of talked about the peaks and valleys. I think the peak of Illinois without KJ being who he was first half of the year is a lot different.
I'm with you on this. All right, I'm going to put you to the test one time before we take a break, and then we'll come back and hear a little bit from Brad Underwood, who met with the media yesterday and obviously had comments following the pairings and following the brackets announced, is what I'm trying to say. You just mentioned that you don't think KJ would be the reason this team figures it out and makes it to an Elite Eight or a second weekend, I think is how you put it. What would the reasoning be that Illinois makes it to the Sweet 16? That they beat Xavier or Texas and then turn around and beat Kentucky? And I don't want it from the angle of, well, Kentucky's best player, Jackson Butler's hurt. I don't want that. I mean, just Illinois. What have you seen this year that would give you the confidence that this team can go out and win 2 games and make it to the second weekend to possibly set up a rematch with Tennessee and Indianapolis?
That's a great question. There is a couple different ways you could go. Similar to what's the problems with Illinois? What are maybe the strengths you could pinpoint? Or it's not even strength, just what are the X factors for this team? I could say Kylan. Could Kylan be someone that shows up in March, which is kind of why you want to get a veteran guard in the portal the way you did, a guy that's played on a pair of 2 seeds and went to a Sweet 16 last year with Arizona. I ran the stat, I think 133 minutes from this team have been played in the NCAA tournament. 85 of them are by Kylan.
Oh, my. I mean, only Kylan, Trey, and Dre are the only 3 that have played.
I think it's Dre with 33, Trey with 20, and Kylan with 85, something like that. Those are roundabouts, but yeah, still. So I think Kylan, especially because we know he's a two-way impact player. He's a guy that when he's playing well can help take away an opponent's best scoring asset. And then at the other end, get plays downhill, going to the basket. He made 3s against Iowa, which was great. Now he settled for 3s against Maryland, which was not so great. I do worry about really athletic teams kind of making him scared to go to the rim. That's been something that's kind of showed itself out. But him looking like a guy that's been there before, leading this team, I think that would be something that could help them. The other thing that I considered is just kind of a broader sense, can you play with your hair on fire like you did against Michigan? Yeah. You showed up in Ann Arbor, you got every offensive rebound, you played gritty, you played tough. Because for the most part, this doesn't look like a tough team. This looks like a finesse basketball team that wants to beat you with skill and shooting and wants to try to outscore you versus they're not going to hold you down or make you uncomfortable with their defense. And some of that's personnel in terms of how athletic they are or what they prioritize in terms of guys they got for their roster. But, I mean, if you're going to be a just pushover, and Kevin Willard even have a pretty incriminating line of and he kind of prefaced about they're young, so that's part of the reason why. But you can this team, essentially paraphrasing, this team backs down when you bully them.
Yep.
And you can bully them. So people are going to know that, and that's why I worry. Now, I don't think Kentucky's necessarily the most bully you opponent or whatever. Not necessarily. I don't know. Texas Xavier will learn as far as that goes, but fighting against that as much as possible, I think, is very important for trying to get to a Sweet 16.
Tennessee would do that to you.
Yeah. Houston.
And Houston, right.
Yeah.
Right. You would stare down two of the toughest teams
No doubt.
in the NCAA tournament, but it would be a great stare down because that means you made it to the Sweet 16 and the second weekend if that happens. That is kind of funny to think that Kentucky and really I don't think Xavier really necessarily brings a lot of physical. I think Texas can, but it is kind of funny how you might play two teams that are one style and then all of a sudden turn around and have to play maybe Tennessee and Houston that are completely other. We're going to shove you around and tell you how this game is going to go.
Yep.
And that is scary.
I know. I will say I wrote this about Kentucky. Like, whatever it is, I mean, they made 12 threes in both of the games, but they beat Tennessee twice. So Tennessee, one of like the Pizza Hut parking lot kings, like, they got beat twice by Kentucky. So I don't want to fully be like, Kentucky's not tough, right?
No, that's
like
true.
They beat them twice.
That's fair.
They did have to make threes. And we'll talk more. Like, Otego Away is a really tough guard for them, who's their best player. But just largely speaking, they're not one of those like rough and tumble, most athletic punk you SEC teams, because there are a
Fair
few.
enough.
And you could see one in the Sweet 16 in Tennessee.
I think what I want to do is have you and I go through this bracket tomorrow.
Yeah,
and kind of give our thoughts because except for my dream bracket with Illinois going to the Final Four, I really haven't filled out my bracket that I'm going to.
I haven't filled out anything.
I'm going to put into all the. Well, of course, we don't give out money, but it's just all about bragging rights. Right?
Yeah.
So
of course.
That bracket that I'm going to submit. It's funny how you mentioned earlier. Some people will fill out like 3 different brackets and put them in. Like you'll have somebody that's like. It's like a family 10-person bracket, and one guy or one girl wants to do 3 brackets, and it's like, no.
Yeah, right.
Just give us one.
It's one.
So I've always been with the understanding that I want to either win big or lose big. So if I fill just one bracket out and I put that wherever I need to go, Yahoo Sports, Chicago, I may have somebody up there that I get into a bracket with. Arizona, I may have a person that I'm related to out there that I maybe get a bracket in. But it's like, I just want that same bracket in case that bracket kicks butt. Then it's like, then I know I'm kicking butt everywhere. Then if you, instead of having like one, it's like, wait, did I pick that in that bracket or was that the other bracket? It's like, come on, just fill one
Too
out.
confusing to cheer.
Way too.
Yeah.
Way too.
Then you're cheering against yourself. Like,
Right.
Yes. Oh, crap.
It's like, oh man, I had High Point in this one. And then
But I knocked out my national champ in the other one. Awesome. Terrible. I don't know. Both.
And there's going to be that one team like High Point that wins an early game.
Yep.
Just don't be the dude that's like, I knew they were going to beat. No, you didn't. You had a gut feel about one of these 64 games. You had to pick one gut, and you took High Point, and then they won. Don't tell me you've even watched a High Point game.
Right.
You haven't. So don't come to the office party with the, well, listen, guys, I called the High Point game. No, okay. You literally wrote down High Point because you thought, I haven't picked an upset
It is
yet.
funny how that goes, though. You have to pick upsets.
You do.
But you have.
But you gotta hit the right
there
ones.
are some people that watch. My buddy, who I used to instill to this day steal upsets from. He watches all the small conference.
Oh wow.
Tournaments and whatnot.
So he would have a legit.
So yeah, we would go through our bracket usually, and he'd be like, he would read off who he's got, and then I'm like, oh, that's a good idea.
That's
All right,
interesting.
Sure, yeah,
Now,
all right,
why
he
is
says
that?
so. I guess I'll take that one. I'm sure not watching High Point.
No,
but
hell no.
You can get caught trying to too upset minded, but also you can't just go straight chalk. That's boring anyway.
The last thing too, and then we'll take this break. The thing that I now do, and I have for like the last 3 years, is I go against what is surely the one pick that everybody's taking. For instance, Drake. Like every year, it's Drake, right? How many years in a row has Drake been the team? Oh, they're a Sweet 16 team. So what I do is immediately go the other way because every bracket in the world is taking Drake to upset whoever the heck they're playing. I forget now as I look.
They're playing
Missouri.
Yeah.
I'm taking Mizzou because Drake's not going to beat Missouri. I mean, they can. Should be fun.
That should be a fun game.
That should be a really
no
fun
doubt.
game. I'm totally with you on that one. No, and I know Drake could. I mean, look, and I root for the Valley, but sometimes it's just like, okay, everybody's in on Drake, and it's trendy. That's a perfect way to say it. Perfect way to say it. All right, let's hear from Brad Underwood when we return, and we'll keep talking Illinois basketball as well. Get your questions in, 359-2255. Admittedly, I have not been checking the Max Twin City Recycling text line very well today. So
I got it pulled up.
Oh, do you? Okay,
Yep.
so we can stare at that. I'm going to do some work here. I love how I call it work. Like it's fun. It's what we want to do. We want to support great businesses like Busey, and why wouldn't you? How about this? Congrats, Busey. They are recognized among America's best banks for 2025 by Forbes. This is the fourth consecutive year the organization has been recognized on this prestigious list. They're ranked 88th overall, 1988. That was a good year for me. Graduated. Busey, one of 7 Illinois-based banks included on this year's list. In addition to being among America's best banks, they're also honored for recognized in Illinois as one of the best places to work, in Florida as one of the best companies to work for, and in Indiana as well as the best place to work. They exceed the needs of their customers and colleagues, and they've been doing this for 157 years as Busey. Whatever your financial needs, business and beyond, Busey promises the resources to help you succeed. Stop in to one of their many current locations, convenient locations is what I'm trying to say. Call 1-800-67-BUSEY or visit Busey.com to learn more. You won that one, Cliff. I did not do well. We're back. It is The Drive.
We all have a mission in life. Something that drives us to explore, to grow, to love. And when we discover it, we're made whole. At OSF Healthcare, we want you to be the best you possible. We're here for you on your schedule to make your life just a little bit easier. Whatever your mission is, we're here to support it. Your life, our mission. Learn more at osfhealthcare.org/mission.
Well, tell me, Tim Onstad, how is it going at Gale Frericks Trucking?
Oh, we're busy. We're going gangbusters. We've got a new driver going through orientation. That leaves us one spot left for somebody that wants to get in on the action and make some money, be home, get some quality time. It's a great opportunity.
And the type of person you like hiring?
Honesty, integrity, like everybody else is looking for. That guy that wants to have a family life, but be able to make some good money and do the right things.
Are you looking for experienced drivers? And if they have a military background and things like that, that's always an asset.
We do need some experience. Of course, we like getting the guys 15 years in that know what they're doing, maybe have been treated bad by other companies and need a place looking for a home. If somebody has the basics, maybe a year and a half, has a military background, I'll count that as some experience because they're used to following the process. Oh, you can always email me at timo@gftlog.com.
I need to speak with someone in charge, a manager. Who's the manager?
Yes, ma'am. This is Paul Reekin from Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. How can we help out?
Picture this, Paul from Dick Van Dyke, if that's your real name.
I'm also not wearing khakis, but go ahead.
I get home from work and I need a cold drink with ice. And instead of feeling that cool, refreshing air, I get warm air and a whiff of rotten meat.
That's gross.
So here's what I need, Paul from Dick Van Dyke. I need a new refrigerator.
We have hundreds in stock.
Don't get fresh with me, mister.
Excuse me?
I need it delivered tomorrow.
We have next day delivery guaranteed Monday through Saturday.
I want it at this price.
We guarantee the best deal.
I want an extended protection plan.
I'll give you one for free.
Now, don't get smart with me, young man.
No joke. It's free, and I'm 49.
Well, wow.
That's what we say, but why did you ask for a manager?
How else would I get this deal?
You don't need the manager. We do this for everyone, every day at Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. And just like Dad says, wow.
When you buy from us, you get the whole store.
It's time to plan your summer swimming season. Urbana Park District is selling pool memberships to Crystal Lake Park Family Aquatic Center. Memberships are on sale through April. The pool opens Memorial Day weekend. Single, family, senior, and veteran rates available. Purchase memberships in person at Phillips Recreation Center, 505 West Stoughton, or at Urbana Indoor Aquatic Center. Call 217-367-1544 for details. Urbana Park District, you belong here.
Attention drivers. When it comes to your car, trust matters. That's why savvy drivers choose PDR Automotive for top-notch service and unbeatable quality. From routine maintenance to complex repairs, their team of expert technicians has the skill and experience to keep your vehicle running smoothly. At PDR Automotive, customer satisfaction is their priority, and they won't rest until your car is back on the road performing at its best. Visit PDR Automotive in Urbana today, family owned and operated for more than 50 years. They're what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR.
My name is Jim Brookins. I own my lawn care service for over 15 years now. I have met a lot of great people doing this. Most of the people I meet, they become great friends. I do edging, weed eating. I blow everything off so it looks fantastic when I'm done. I believe, in my mind, I do the best. Usually my average range is usually around $40 per yard. You can call me 217-621-8807. 217-621-8807.
Not every remodel project is as easy as the couple on the Home Improvement Channel make it look. From old furniture to construction debris, a home remodel can quickly turn into a junk pile. 2 Men and a Junk Truck is here to make your home improvement dreams a reality. They offer hassle-free junk removal and dumpster rentals to clear the way for your next big project.
Perfect.
Use code REMODEL25 to save $25 on your next service. 2 Men and a Junk Truck, making your home improvement journey a breeze. Visit 2menindajuncktruck.com. Offer valid at 2 Men and a Junk Truck, Champaign, Illinois.
Tim Culver, owner and president of Classic Plumbing and Air.
A plumber is a person that is well-rounded. They have education, they have experience, and they are versed in more than only one phase of plumbing. A plumber is someone that has experience in all three phases, and they understand how all three of these plumbing aspects work together as well.
Was in the heating and air conditioning business for approximately 30 years and then retired in 2021. So I came out of retirement because I'm very big on taking care of our local community. The most satisfying part of my job is when I know that I've done the right thing for the customer, taking care of the customer's happy, and when I walk out the door that I'm not afraid to put a sign out in front of their house that says, "This job was done by Chuck Thompson, Classic Plumbing and Air."
Visit them at classicplum.com.
It is The Drive, ESPN Radio 93.5 The Drive with Tay and Piper Latte. Derek Piper. You did not visit with Brad Underwood yesterday, but other
I did
people
not.
did. All right. I don't blame you for not wanting to, give the flu back going around there at
I think that
Auburn.
Be nice of me not to put them in danger of that.
Can you imagine being the guy, like, come Friday night, the starting lineup is Jake Davis, Dre Gibbs Lawhorn,
Keaton Kutcher.
I was going to say Austin Kutcher. I don't know why. Is that a name of somebody? Keaton Kutcher. And you're like, well, what's going on? Well, Illinois is sick again. And
I wonder.
Derek Piper's the one. Brought it.
They have me take the mic in the post game. Like Brad's like, I'm not going to do it.
Go ahead, Derek.
These aren't my questions to answer. So Piper, you felt comfortable coming to the Selection Sunday thing, huh?
Still feeling good about yourself? Uh-huh. Well, listen.
Don't feel great, nope.
Tomorrow we will go through these brackets. That'll give us a chance to look it over, kind of see if there's any upsets that we are going to maybe take. I'm anxious to see how you kind of do this compared to me. I don't like chalk, so
I don't either.
Sometimes I'm like, it's not going to end up that way, Lon. So don't be Jay Billis. Don't have every 1 seed in the Final Four or whatever. Or he had all 1 and 2s in the Elite Eight.
Someone showed Jay Williams having that yesterday.
Okay, that never happened. Like, never happens. I don't know. It's weird. How did North Carolina get in this thing? Now watch them. They'll get
Surely wasn't their AD being part of the committee.
No. Getting that $100,000 bonus.
With their, 1-11 record in quad ones?
Watch them get to the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
And then we'd have to hear all about North Carolina. All right, Brad Underwood. He started this thing out by saying how much he loves Selection Sunday, like the rest of us.
5 straight name calls for Illinois.
That's
which
incredible.
is a pretty good streak.
That is incredible. So Brad was happy. Let's hear from him.
Yeah, very excited. It's a great spot to be in. Selection Sunday, as I say many years, has been my favorite day of the year since I was a young guy that knew what basketball was and have great appreciation for hearing your name called. And I know that was an excited room. As always, it's nice. We've been, I still say 6, can't count that, but COVID year, but 5 years in a row. One of us, Michigan State and Purdue, one of 3 Big Ten teams to be doing that. I don't take that for granted. It's pretty special. And a lot of people to thank for helping make that happen. But a little different scenario this year that, I wasn't handed a folder to dive into. We've obviously got 2 opponents to start looking at a little bit. I don't know much about Xavier and or Texas other than they've been historically very good programs and obviously had success enough to make this year's tournament. So, excited to be in Big Ten country in Milwaukee. Is a place that's very, very close to us. Should be a exciting opportunity, a great region. And just really looking forward to another opportunity to go put our best foot forward with this group. We get healthier by the day. We get Merez back into some conditioning, and got a few days to do that now with a Friday game. So excited and looking forward to 2025 NCAA tournament.
Brad, with so little experience in the NCAA tournament, is there any way to prepare a team for that, or they just got to feel it when it starts?
No, they got to understand they got to understand the cliche I use, the urgency at the end. They've got to understand that. I think the Big Ten tournament helped us a little bit understand some of that. The excitement of the first game, and you can't get overzealous or too high. If you win, you got another one coming around pretty quick. So I think that there's definite excitement. Kylan and Trey have been in it. They understand. Draven last year, the group of guys that are in that locker room. Ty Rogers, AJ Red, Keaton, all been a part of that. They'll help navigate that with guys. But at the end of the day, it's a game, and it's just a little different vibe. But we'll be all right.
How does maybe your prep this week change when you can't just focus on a single team? You have to, for at least for a few days. Yeah,
and I think it's managing the extra day or two, maybe. We did practice today. Got our guys back in the gym. Yesterday was an off day. We will go again tomorrow. Tuesday will be a little lighter. We're on spring break. I think it's about keeping them as mentally fresh as everything else. We'll have opportunities to watch film on both teams and see what the uniqueness is of those teams, and then take those opportunities to look at stuff in practice. But we'll have a little quicker scout. With them playing sometime on Wednesday, early evening, I would assume, or Wednesday night, and then a day to travel before they play on Friday.
Do you find that there are similarities in the way that you guys rebounded after Duke and went off 4-game winning streak, where you guys kind of have to reset again?
Yeah, I think it's different. It was a different feeling after the Duke game because we were that was the perfect storm, the end of a disastrous stretch with so many sicknesses and injuries. I think the Maryland game was they punched us and kept punching and just caught us in a flat game. We were 9 of 22 on layups. We haven't missed that many layups since the first practice of the year, I think. It's just we miss a dunk. We missed threes. The ball didn't bounce our way, but they were much more aggressive, and I think that's more the lesson to learn than the Duke game where we just really had no chance because of everything that was going on in that game leading up to it.
Right, you played so many quad one games, and it makes it 5 will be different. But as any team that's prepared for NCAA tournaments, this team is scheduled to play.
Not mine, no. I think we've got 5 games against, the top 2 seeds. Alabama, Texas, Michigan State twice. Who am I leaving out? Duke. So we've seen them. There's no doubt, and had an opportunity to win a couple of those games and didn't. But I think we're in a spot where we feel that we know we can go out and compete with anybody and beat anybody, and I really believe that. And now it's about putting 40 minutes every single night together to be your best, and you play that schedule so that when this time comes around, you got the confidence to know you can go beat anybody.
Do you remember your first NCAA tournament game, whether it was as a fan or as a coach?
Man, you're asking me to go way, way back as a fan. I'm going back to John Wooden days. UCLA as a kid, as a fan, watching those. I remember some of the Notre Dame, Kelly Tripucka and Adrian Dantley, and I remember the John Wooden, Bill Walton games, and then as a coach, my first game was as a head coach was pretty memorable game, beating VCU in the 5-12 game, on a 4-point play. So you don't forget that one every day. So yeah, that's the fun part of this time of year, brings back a lot of great memories. You love hearing the theme song of CBS and the tournament. It's all fun.
Brad, I'm curious, what can your team learn from that aggression you saw against Maryland and responding differently or better to a first punch or 2 punches?
Yeah, we were bouncing off the walls before the Iowa game. We weren't that energetic. That's my fault. We weren't maybe as focused leading up to that game as we needed to be. There was maybe a little too much excitement after that win. Sometimes you have to come down, and when you've got quick turns, it's better to be a little more stoic and and thoughtful in those moments. So, lot to learn there. We will.
Right, you had a deep run last year. What did you learn about going through this process?
One game at a time. Enjoy them. Make sure your team has fun. Make sure they don't trying to keep it loose, trying to keep it in a place where they're very, very comfortable. I thought our last year's group did a great job of that. Obviously, we had a humbling first 2 minutes against Moorhead. In a quick timeout, down 9-0. But I think after that we settled in, and then I think we really enjoyed playing in those games, and you got to make sure these guys enjoy that opportunity. You sure don't take them for granted. They're hard to get to.
You talk about getting handed 2 folders from Xavier. Just how many possibility folders did you have?
We felt pretty comfortable. We were a 6. I think that it was. You start looking at all the 11s and whether those were possible play-in game scenarios. We'd run all those things with, San Diego State and the kind of the bubble teams to, the Drakes and the, UC San Diegos, and we were pretty close on most of those. So there was a lot of preliminary work done, and obviously, nobody was exactly sure until they make the announcement.
Right, when you turn over the entire roster, it's not always guaranteed you get back here. So, what was key to getting another bite at the apple in the NCAA tournament with this group?
Yeah, one, we're pretty talented. The young kids are really talented. I think most importantly, the character of this group. Can't speak and say enough good things about this group as people, as a group that loves to compete. This group's been really special in their love for the game. There's been no jealousy. There's been no side distractions. It's just been a real focus that's been really enjoyable. To have. And then, our leadership has grown throughout the course of the season. Kylan, Trey, Tommy's very mature. Just to see all of that start to develop has been pretty cool, and it's all been impactful. And not without some stress. This season was as stressful maybe as any in terms of just the inability to at times to get better because of all the stuff that happened.
A lot of coaches have been commenting this week on the new landscape with NIL and all that. Rick Pitino and Steve Alford and a few others. But what's your take on kind of adapting to the new reality when it comes to building a roster?
I think NIL is great. I think that the money in the game is that's not as big a problem as maybe just the instability of the transfer portal and kids moving around. I think that you've got to be very adept at understanding what you're looking for in the portal and be as diligent as you can in terms of your research. And character is always a piece of that. And for us it is talent, yes, but and then having just a plan. You just can't go take the randomness of that. It gets more challenging, I think, to find the trust and the loyalty and some of those things that maybe we all had before when we had guys for 2, 3, 4 years. It's why I have great appreciation for Peyton Sanford, why that meant a lot to me. Seeing a young man in tears crying and to me, one of the great things is being able to call a place home and know that 10, 15, 20 years from now, you get to come back. And, we live that yearly here. Today's world, that doesn't necessarily get to happen, but, I think it's just about doing your research, being diligent. I'm extremely fortunate. I got a great staff, and I think we did a lot of really positive things in terms of those things this year in the portal and recruiting.
Right, to dovetail off that, you admitted last year you were on the phone in Boston trying to put this roster together. With the way they moved the calendar, do you think that will lessen where you don't have to be the best of two masters, you can just kind of focus on trying to stay in firm?
I think we're much better organized this year than we were last year leading into this, having an idea of when this is all. Last year was the first year of, hey, this is the Monday after Selection Sunday is when this happens. And
so having it 24th now is just better.
Yeah, that's definitely helped. And I think the other thing is that just, staff's programs are much better equipped in the research area and all of that to move forward.
Just to clarify, you'll watch games on both teams with the players and start presenting game plans?
We won't watch them with the players too much. We'll talk about scenarios in practice. We may throw some actions at them that each team runs and not get real specific. But, they run this action and we'll cover it. Try not to get too specific. Don't want to cloud the situation any more than we need to. But if one of those teams presses or one of those teams plays zone or something like, we'll as a staff address that and try to prep for that.
You talked about the mentality, but more practices with your guys with Morez back. Had a couple of weeks now, we're mostly full. What's your focus basketball-wise leading in?
Yeah, I think it's mostly centers around Morez. I think that the best thing that happened in the Maryland game was Morez got a lot of run, and he was really tired, and Tommy's foul trouble. He had to play extended minutes. I thought that was very good. I think getting back with those two guys on the court together didn't happen. We thought that would happen in the Maryland game. I think that's something that we've got to continue to grow that. It was very good for us at times. I think we'll be able to do some of those things here in the next few days.
Ben, after the loss, just one loss, he did say he was super excited to get to the big dance and hear his name called. He's kind of that story of the kid that dreams in Indiana playing in a big dance, and now he gets that opportunity. That is kind of one of the special things about today and next week.
Absolutely. I hope nobody takes it for granted. I don't. I've been, up early this morning, and you're kind of got a nervous excitement and energy, and all of that's fun. It's fun to it's what these guys go to the weight room for in July, and it's the individual work and all the development that goes into being able to do this. And everybody dreams, every kid that played basketball, whether they're in their driveway or the local YMCA or the local rec centers, firing up a jump shot, in the last seconds, that's a game winner. And that to me is what makes this tournament so special, so special. I mean, just it's pretty cool. And now we've seen 16s beat 1s. We've seen every kind of upset. This year will provide some sort of crazy upset, and that's what dreams are made of, and it's what makes basketball and this tournament pretty doggone cool.
Who did the prep work for all the potential 11s and others?
Yeah, there's a group of guys. We've got all of our GAs on it. Kind of headed up. Patrick Biddle heads that group with J.C. Keller and Jack Bourne, and those guys are way ahead of the game when it comes to doing that. As our staff was dialing in more with Big Ten tournament and postseason, those guys were working on that kind of stuff a lot. And then there's they get the managers helping. There's a group of them that printing off stats, printing off rosters, schedules, all the analytics that are out there. So yeah, it gets pretty detailed. That folder's gotten a lot thicker since my first year in coaching, when it was kind of a roster and a stat sheet.
You've set your financial goals. One kid plans to go Big Ten, the other Ivy. Your bucket list includes seaside sunrises and sunsets on the slopes, or perhaps a second home away from it all. Busey Bank can help develop the right investment strategy to take charge of the years ahead. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868. Proud to be the official bank of the Fighting Illini. Member FDIC.
I need to speak with someone in charge, a manager. Who's the manager?
Yes, ma'am. This is Paul Reekin from Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. How can we help out?
Picture this, Paul from Dick Van Dyke, if that's your real name.
I'm also not wearing khakis, but go ahead.
I get home from work and I need a cold drink with ice. And instead of feeling that cool, refreshing air, I get warm air and a whiff of rotten meat.
That's gross.
So here's what I need, Paul from Dick Van Dyke. I need a new refrigerator.
We have hundreds in stock.
Don't get fresh with me, mister.
Excuse me?
I need it delivered tomorrow.
We have next day delivery guaranteed Monday through Saturday.
I want it at this price.
We guarantee the best deal.
I want an extended protection plan.
I'll give you one for free.
Now, don't get smart with me, young man.
No joke. It's free, and I'm 49.
Well, wow.
That's what we say, but why did you ask for a manager?
How else would I get this deal?
You don't need the manager. We do this for everyone, every day at Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. And just like Dad says, wow.
When you buy from us, you get the whole store.
Sarah Champagne's been Quattrone on keeping his employees.
It's got to be the place to work. We have to pay the best. We have to treat people the best. Some of the guys wanted to order pizza the other day. Well, we bought 30 Papa Del's pizzas. BMW had the best month they've ever had. They said, can we have a cookout? Saturday, I cooked like 50 ribeye steaks. And they were expecting like cheese, burgers and hot dogs and stuff. Like, if I'm eating steak, you're eating steak. We both eat steak, we both eat hamburger.
Learn more at sarahchampagne.com.
is The Drive, ESPN Radio 93.5. Lonte, Derek Piper. We were just talking about the tweet I sent yesterday. I'm trying to work on free agents for Illinois.
I like it. Yeah. You said you felt dirty.
I did. I felt dirty. I'm like, it'd be great if Blackwell just came and played with Illinois next year. Man, when you watch him and Tanji, especially Tanji, is there a blueprint for an athlete that you want to add to your team in the future? Is it Tanji, 6'5", strong, can shoot, slash? I mean,
they're not a 1-for-1 comparison, but he reminds me in ways of Terrence Shannon.
Yeah, you're right.
The construct of Wisconsin of that older, physically ability to just bully people, and then around him